Everything in this video is alleged. It is, in my own opinion, it is for fair use and entertainment. I ran across this image and I couldn't stop looking at it. I just couldn't stop looking at it because for some reason, maybe it's just now because I'm doing so much self-reflection that this actually spoke to me. And I hope that it helps somebody that we're talking about it today. But I wanted to talk about trauma and processing your traumas. Any trauma you've had as a child or as a younger adult, it's really important to process and deal with that trauma. And what is trauma? Well, for me, trauma is a frightening and distressful event. It could be loss. It could be something that caused you just not only mental, but a physical reaction to the stimuli that was going on. Trauma. And I've had a lot of those in my formative years and as a young adult. I've experienced trauma. So, and if I'm perfectly honest, there's a lot of it that I didn't actually process. And because I didn't process it completely and deal with it, I believe, and so does my therapist, believes trauma gets stored in the body. Now, I think I jokingly said, I don't want any ghosts from Christmas past stuck in my hips, because sometimes I experience physical pain, like in my hips. And in practicing yoga and some other getting in tune with my body, I was told that emotional relationships can sometimes get stored in the hips, like past relationships. And I was like, oh no, I need to get all of them out of my hips. But we can store pain and trauma in any parts of our body. Not only that, but when we're under distress, not just stress. So stress is just like worrying and thinking about something. It's tension. Distress is when you're actually feeling it physically in your body. Distress is different. And not to minimize stress, because stress is bad within itself. But, when you're worried and you have that mental tension, that's different from being in distress. When you're in distress, you have a physical reaction to it as well. You can have anxiety. You can have all this cortisol that gets released in your body and adrenaline, which over time, in my case, and for me specifically, has been harmful to me. It's caused me to have elevated blood pressure and panic attacks and anxiety attacks. So, yeah, when you're in distress, that's different. And that's usually occurred or happens with a traumatic experience. And I recently had a conversation with my two younger sisters. And they brought up a memory, something that happened to me when I was in 5th grade. So 5th grade, that made me around 10 years old. And I think in my 5th grade year, I was probably 5'7". Yeah, I was tall. And I was probably 110 pounds then. I didn't get too much taller than that, but I was a big kid for 5th grade, okay? And I can remember I had to walk my nieces and my younger sisters to school in the morning. And it was probably about 4 or 5 blocks, okay? So I would drop them off at their school that went from kindergarten to, I think, was it 3rd or 4th grade maybe? So I was dropping them off to school, and then I would walk myself onto my school. And this particular morning, it was early, of course, a man jumped out from the bushes, and we were walking along a railroad track, okay? And this gentleman, I don't know why I use that word, but this male jumped out of the bushes, and he attacked me. And somehow I was on the ground, kicking and screaming and crying, and he was trying to take off my pants. Now, I can remember this day so vividly. I had on chick pink jeans, and they were tight. Okay. And I had on a white shirt and some white kids. My sisters and my nieces were screaming. They were terrified. They were throwing rocks and sticks at the man while I fought with everything in my body to keep this adult male from pulling off my pants. And in my mind, I'm looking at them more than I'm focused on him, because my mind is saying, whatever he does to me, God, please don't let him do it in front of them. I didn't want them to have to witness it. I wasn't thinking about myself. I was thinking about them. And they were in distress in that moment. I could see the anguish and the pain on their faces. They were so scared. So my mind said I needed to protect them. That's the way I was built up. That's the way I was made. So I fought like hell with this man. And at some point, I'm not sure, but he got this look on his face of sheer defeat. He just gave up. He backed up and he ran the other direction. Now, I got up and I continued to walk my sisters and my niece to school. Then I walked myself to school. Okay? And I don't remember what I thought or what was going on in my head as I walked the next block or so to school. But once I got to school, it all came flooding back to me because I could see it in my teacher's face. When I walked through the door, she looked at me, and it was the look on her face that brought all the emotion back to me, because she had this look of shock. And she just said, Mildred. And I started crying. I just started crying out. It was bad. Okay. So you would think that that would be the trauma, right? This trauma is layered. Let me tell you what happened. Well, they sent me to talk to the guidance counselor. I will never forget this motherfucker as long as I live. I hope he's dead now, because what I went through with him was far worse. This was before the police came. Now, mind you, I am covered in mud and sand from the top of my thick, coarse hair all the way. My pants are covered in dirt. I'm a mess. I look like I've been wallowing, because I had been. And he's sitting across from me with this look on his face like I discuss him. The face he gave me. Number one, this was a predominantly black school. Mr. De Niro was a white man. I don't know why he was working there, because he clearly didn't want to be there. That was my take on it. Now, just knowing what I know now, because he was so callous. His treatment of a little girl in a situation like that was so just mean and unnecessary. So he proceeds to ask me questions like, well, what was he trying to do to you? Well, what were you doing? Well, tell me what he did. Well, where did he touch you at? Well, I need you to say it. I need you to tell me what you think he was going to do to you. And I can remember the shame and the embarrassment that I felt. But I was also extremely strong-willed. And I had been through so many other things that before this that I knew how to guard. So I put up a wall and I would not talk to him. I would not, because I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of being vulnerable. I became obstinate and rude, but I know now that I did that to protect myself, because I'd be damned if I was going to let him hurt me. Okay? That's what I was thinking. All right, so then the police came, and thankfully I had a female officer, and we talked, and yeah, so this is where the layered trauma is, people. I'm going to tell you. The next day I go to school, and I don't have a pencil. So I asked my friend, which was a little boy in the class, and we were always really great pals, and I asked him for a pencil. And he turned and he looked at me. He gave me the most disgusted look. And I wasn't used to him responding to me in that way because we were pals, you know? And he was like, I can't talk to you. None of the boys can talk to you. And I was like, why? And he said, Mr. Gennaro told us not to talk to you because you'll get us in trouble. He threw the pencil on the floor. Guys, the first time I cried about this was the other day. So this conversation where I relived all of this happened with just talking to my sisters about trauma and them bringing up, them being curious about trauma and how it impacts you as an adult. What happens if you don't process it, what it looks like in your life, how do you present, what do you do? And I've had a lot of trauma. I have. So processing it properly. When I tell you all that crying about this the other day as an adult, oh my goodness, it was different. It was different because I needed to go back and just acknowledge that my parents had failed me. All the adults that was supposed to be there for me to nurture and care for me had failed me. And I was in the situation that I shouldn't have been in. No one reinforced that it was not my fault. No one reinforced to me that I never should have been in the position to be that much of a caretaker for my sisters and my nieces. It was just too damn much. And then afterwards, I didn't get that enforcement, that nurturing and love and attention and positive, good female contact or physical contact from someone to let me know that it was okay. No one did that for me. So crying about this and dealing with this trauma at my current big age, y'all, it was different. But I needed to go back and heal and love on that little girl who didn't have that at that time because all of the adults around her failed her. They did. I was failed in that time. And I'm really happy that I'm dealing with some of the traumas that I endured as a child and as a young woman, because at this point it's absolutely vital. It's vital to my overall health, my physical health, and my mental well-being. And if you've had any unresolved or unprocessed trauma, I encourage you to seek some help and do that and heal. Thanks for listening, everybody. This is Conversations and Cocktails. BUY. Buy something for yourself. Do something that makes you happy. And remember to wear your fragrances. When you smell good, you feel good. I'll talk to you guys here next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.